With Session Update, I'm Julie Bartke. A bill that might not cause too much controversy on its merit would create a system to help victims of sex trafficking. The proposal would build on legislation passed nearly 2 years ago. Senator Sandy Pappas is chief author of the legislation. She was joined by several stakeholders in a news conference today, and we'd like to air a portion of that for you right now.
We will only solve this problem by working together. That is precisely what we did to pass the Safe Harbor law, and it is what we will do now to pass Safe Harbor No Wrong Door legislation, which will truly create a safety net for child sex trafficking victims. Recently, Senator Pappas and I were in Washington, D.C., and we were told by the Department of Justice and by the Department of Health and Human Services that we, all of us here in Minnesota, are creating the first comprehensive model to end child sex trafficking, one that the rest of the nation is watching.
The 911 call came in. Hi, this is Barb. I'm a runaway from Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm in big trouble. I'm afraid I'm about to get killed. This call was sent from room 851 of the Hilton Garden Inn in downtown St. Paul by a young woman who had been trafficked for the last week. She'd been sold 30 times. I live next door to that hotel. This is very personal for me. It's happening in our neighborhoods. It's happening in our communities. And too often it's underground and unseen and we're not aware of it. But these young girls, she was just 17, these young runaways especially are very vulnerable. And that's what the Safe Harbor bill is really all about, is finding these girls, protecting these girls, offering them a pathway to safety and out of this horrible experience that they find themselves in, because they're young and they're vulnerable and they don't know what's ahead of them.
Recently in Roseville, in which we got a 21-year sentence against a man named Samuel Cozart. That victim, a 17-year-old girl, and let's make no mistake, these victims come from all over the state of Minnesota. They come from all socioeconomic backgrounds. And this 17-year-old girl from greater Minnesota, because of the victim-centered response that the Roseville Police Department used as an approach to deal with this girl, she was ready, willing, and able to testify against the trafficker.
I will start by having Valentina say her speech.
Good morning. To be a minor that's active in this lifestyle without long-term housing or supportive services to redirect us girls is truly a nightmare. Many youth shelters have a limited supply of emergency beds, and if they're lucky enough to even get one, by 7 o'clock the next morning, you're asked to leave once again. Without educating these young ladies in supportive services to build the key lifelong skills to help them transition and survive back in a world of normancy as we know it, we're not any help to them at all. Instead, we're setting them up for failure and enabling the cycle to continue. They will go back to what they know. The cycle has to end somewhere, and I, as a victim, believe that with the No Wrong Door policy and the Safe Harbor Act, it is a huge step in the right direction to ending our problem with sexually exploited youth here in Minnesota.